This right here is my new CFT oil catch can. It's powder coated in illusion purple, and I think it looks super good. As you can see, I mounted it here to the battery. What this does is it takes oil from the valve cover and puts it into the can, as opposed to the stock application, which takes oil from the valve cover and puts it down into this air intake on the turbo inlet pipe, which is a terrible idea. So that's why you do these mods, for reliability and to get the oil out of the air intake and into the can. I installed this pretty unconventionally as compared to what CFT would want you to install it to. They originally tell you to mount it here, but I realized that that would be problematic pretty fast, because whenever I upgrade this charge pipe, they don't include a bracket to put this on. So instead, I put it on these battery mounts, which I actually fabricated these battery mounts. They are way better than the stock ones. Not perfect though, you can see they bow out and stuff, and you know, there's holes in them in weird parts, but they look a lot better than the stock ones, and it was my first time fabricating. I mounted them here because of the fact that the new charge pipe won't have a bracket to it. And CFT offers their own battery brackets, but they're $85. And instead of paying $85, I made my own for $8. There was no way I was about to pay $85 for a part like that. So let me show you exactly how I installed all of this. In order to install this catch can, the first thing I did was remove the battery brackets and also take off the stickers and clean it up to make it look better. Then after that, it was time for me to start fabrication. And in order to fabricate it, I didn't just use actual fabricating steel. I used these pieces of steel that I got in Home Depot that are made for some like hurricane wood building thing. I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to these, but that's what I used to fabricate with it because it's steel. I ended up cutting the first one too short, but live and learn, and then it was time to go on ahead and do the new one. I finished the first one and I was pretty happy with it. It turned out exactly how I wanted it to. The sizing was perfect, fit under the battery exactly as I wanted to, so that was good for drilling the holes for everything to line up. And speaking of drilling, I went on ahead and drilled the holes, which I didn't have exactly the right size, so I kind of had to make it work a little bit, but it worked. After this, I ended up marking the brackets because it wouldn't actually fit in the battery without a little bit more cutting on the sides to get in between the two pieces on the top of the battery. Cutting the marking went fine. It actually worked way better than I thought it would. I thought I was going to mess it up here. In the meantime, I noticed I had my Cummins logo in the toolbox, and I figured it would look a lot better refreshed and painted. I can't remember why I took it off, but I wanted it to look good in the engine bay. So I taped it off and painted it black, and then taped it off again and painted it silver, and then taped it off again and painted it black, and it turned out really good. After paint, it looked exactly like this. And speaking of paint, I also had to paint the battery brackets so then they would look good. I had a random silver in my toolbox, and this silver I bought for the transmission of this car, but the silver happened to match the paint on the truck really, really close, so I used that instead of going with black paint or something boring like that. Then it was time to install the mounts, and honestly, it went a lot better than I thought it was. I mean, I'm not a fabricator. I was just trying to save some money because, like I said earlier, $85 for CFT's product or $8 in material for my little fabrication job, but it went well, so I was really happy with it. Install went fine. Here you can see exactly what the old battery looked like, and that looks terrible. And then you can see mine here. I think that's pretty much an improvement. I'm really happy with it. Also, we're going to be able to mount the oil separator on my brackets. It ends up working, as you guys know. After this, I took off that CCV line I talked about earlier. That's the line that transmits the oil from the valve cover to the intake and then down to the oil catch can. I took that off. I had to use a little tool I got to get it off because it was just in such a terrible location. And then I made a small mistake. I ended up cross-threading the threads on the oil separator, so I had to go on ahead and re-thread it. I got a 14mm re-thread kit thingy, and then I got to drilling. After that, the re-thread went fine, the bolt fit in fine, and it was time to put the oil separator in the truck. Which went fine. I just bolted in, I cut the line, I fit the line to it. It went fine, and now, here we are. So that's how I installed it, guys. I do think I am actually gonna move it. I don't like the position it's in. I don't know if this is where CFT has it as an alternative to putting it there, but this is where I put it. And I think I am gonna move it. Even though I did fabricate these battery brackets just for this, they look really cool and I'm okay with it. And I'm okay with this not being on them. So what I think I'm gonna do is get a new line that is much longer at some point, run it under the air intake, and then cut this to fit and bolted in right here. This is an old bolt for the old air intake, and I feel like it would work perfect for the, what is that zip tie? Oh yeah, Josh did that. I need to cut that zip tie. But yeah, I just think it would look really cool having it like right there, and it'd be kind of tucked up and it wouldn't be taken away from the air intake in the sense of whenever you're looking at the engine bay. I just think it'd be much better back there. So eventually I do want to do that. The problem with this part is that I can't tell you like a performance difference before and after until months later. And the only difference I can show you is how much oil it catches as opposed to the oil that would be going into your air intake. So I can't really show you guys that for a few months. So in a random video later on, I'll put that in there. I'll give a little update on that if you guys want to see that. So subscribe just so then you guys happen to see whatever video that is in the future. And then also moving the catch can to back there, I'll just put that in another video as a little extra piece of content. Just to recap, guys, because I know we ran over everything really fast, we got 2 new battery brackets that look way better than the stock ones. I'm very happy with that. We painted the Cummins logo and it's already gotten a little messed up. I don't know how. That's like heat resistant paint and there's nothing under here to scratch it, but it got a little messed up already. I thought that was really strange. And then we got the new oil catch can and the line ran to it. And so that is everything that we did in this video. If you guys are just stopping in on the channel for this video, this truck does have GDP tunes on an Easy Link. It has 5 of them, and then it has this awesome CFT cool air intake, which made a big difference in sound and even a little bit of a power difference. I could feel it, but mainly sound. My God, the truck sounds completely different and I love it. You know what? Let's go ahead and put a little extra in this video. I want you guys to hear this air intake. If you didn't watch the last video, I want you to hear this air intake because it is just such a cool sound. Let's see if we can get some cool air intake sounds. If you watched the last video, you already saw these, but why not throw it into this video? I don't know how much of that the camera is going to pick up, but it sounds so much better with this intake. It's just so much better. And the oil separator, obviously the oil separator makes it sound completely different. I'm trying to make it do the little chuff thing it does. It's only done it 3 times now. It's like the beginning of a turbo flutter without it actually turbo fluttering. It's like the beginning of it. It's weird. It's not doing it. You gotta let off hard whenever it's at like peak boost. Hey, that's the chuff I was talking about. But yeah, this air intake, like, it makes blow-off sounds now and like the little chuff sound, like turbo flutter sounds and stuff, and it didn't make any sounds like that before this air intake, so it completely changed the sound. And I got a comment, I think the dude was trying to diss me a little bit, I don't know. He said, nice hot air intake soaking up all the engine bay heat or something like that. And it's like, yeah, but it's still a better intake. Like, yeah, no one thinks it's actually a cold air intake. So yeah, it's definitely better. But this video is not about the air intake, it's about the oil separator or catch can. I'm so used to saying oil separator because whenever we put one, when my dad put one on his Raptor, it was called, they referred to those as oil separators, and then this they refer to catch can. It's the same thing, it's just, you know, I'm used to saying oil separator, but there's really not much I can say about the oil separator besides the fact that it looks good and all that, because, you know, it's not going to make a big difference like the intake or the exhaust or tunes or anything like that. But it's definitely a good reliability part. If you guys are looking to get oil out of your air intake system, this is a good way to do that. It's the only way. There's a lot of different companies that have them though, so I'm not going to say CFT is the best. I will say that it's going to match everything in the engine bay, and that's kind of why I went with them and stuff, and it's good. You know, I have no complaints with it, so I'll let y'all know how it turns out in the future, but we'll see. With that being said, thanks for stopping in the channel. Go and subscribe, hit the notification bell, browse the rest of the videos, and I'm out.